Hey, welcome back. Today, I'm going to do something just a little bit different than normal here. Recently, I've been watching some videos from a guy that has a YouTube channel called Good Luck America. And he doesn't do a whole lot of videos about gun maintenance and things, but he's done a few recently where he's taken a wax treatment and applied that to some shotguns and I just thought that was an interesting idea, and I think that would work really well, especially for guns with some wood, right? I think wax treatment's probably ideal for wood stocks. So anyway, the material he used, or the wax that he used was what is it, like SC Johnson wax? It's like a floor wax, I think. But he's also used Renaissance wax, so I picked up some Renaissance wax, and I can't seem to find the SC Johnson stuff, so I don't know if they discontinued it or what, but the few places where you can find it, it's outrageously expensive. So I actually picked up just some car wax, what is this, Meguiar's car wax. What I think is funny about this, I don't intend to use this on my guns. I did try it out on a few pocket knives just to test it out and see if it does anything, see if it does any harm or whatever. It seemed to work fine. And this stuff had a crack in it. But this stuff smells good. It smells like wax with a little bit of scent, which is funny because you can go out to the website for Meguiar's and it's got a whole bunch of chemicals in it for various reasons. But I picked this one out because it didn't say anything about. A lot of them say they have like citrus power, or they have some kind of indication of flavorings that have to do with citrus or acidity, and I definitely didn't want a wax that had any acidity to it, because the intent would have been to be able to apply this to metal. Now, you don't want to put acid on your metal because more than likely you're going to create a situation where you have some rust. So I don't know if the chemicals they're putting in there are acidic on those ones that mention various flavorings, usually citrus, usually orange, something like that, orange power. Anyway, I don't know if they're acidic or not. I just avoided it altogether, and that Meguiar seemed to be okay. And like I said, it worked fine on knives, but it's not really intended for putting on guns, so I don't know what it's going to do to a blued finish, so I didn't want to mess with that. But this Renaissance wax stuff is supposedly used on all kinds of guns for preservation. So I was going to give it a try on my little Ruger Single 6. So this is a old Ruger Single 6. It's not the 3-screw model, but it's relatively old. I think it's an early 80s model, I would guess. I don't know if I've actually looked this one up or not. I picked this one up at an auction, so didn't buy that new, so I don't really know the history on it. Anyway, I was just going to give a try to applying some of this wax. Oh, and by the way, this stuff, you know how I mentioned that this smells pretty good? This stuff smells like, I'm going to say shoe polish. To me, it smells like shoe polish. Turpentine, something strong. It's strong smelling stuff. Now, I'm not going to advise this, but this is what I'm doing. I'm just going to dip my finger in it. You should probably be wearing gloves for this. Don't be like me. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put it on the wood. Start with that. Now this Single six, like I said, I picked up at an auction several years ago now. I think it's been almost 10 years that I've had it. And it's had its share of problems. Nothing I couldn't work through, but boy, this would be a terrible gun for something like self-defense. I mean, single action gun's not what you're going to use for self-defense anyway, right? But I've had the cylinder lock up on this guy, and that happened to me basically because the cylinder pin started walking out. So if you ever use one of these, there's a little button here to release the cylinder pin. You just push that in and then the cylinder pin pops out. And anyway, so somehow that had got bumped or whatever. Anyway, somehow it released and the cylinder pin started walking out, and then the cylinder locked up. And it took me a minute to figure out what had happened and why it had locked up. I thought surely it was just a bad cartridge or something like that. But no, it was that cylinder pin. And that cylinder pin has also been a problem because, and I don't know if this is the case with other Ruger single sixes or not, but this particular one, if you don't line up everything just perfect, when you pull the cylinder out and you go to put the pin back in, it's going to be near impossible unless you get it just right. And I have to fiddle with opening the loading gate, twisting the cylinder, all kinds of finagling to get it to work just right. You see, I moved on to the metal now. I got all the wood covered. Anyway, that cylinder pin is really tricky to get inserted correctly. Now this is the 22 long rifle version of this gun. I think they have it in a 22 Magnum as well. I don't have that. I really want to get one of the Heritage ones. I think it is that, you know, they have both cylinders. They put them on sale around, you know, Black Friday, but usually those are the ones that just have the single cylinder. And boy, they're cheap. I mean, you can get the single cylinder ones for around $100. I think I saw them for even a little bit less this year. So it's a shame not to have one at a price like that. But haven't picked one of those up yet. I think the single sixes are a better gun, better made, but they're just plinking guns. How much does it matter? This is not an heirloom piece I'm dealing with here. Although it's made like an heirloom piece, I would say this is very well made. Well, I'm just getting it on everything, aren't I? Now this wax is supposed to slick everything up. It's supposed to preserve metal. It's supposed to preserve wood. And I've seen people, the guy on Good Luck America, he seems like he puts it on fairly lightly, like you're gonna wax a car, right? I mean, you put on just enough to get it covered. I don't even know if he was putting on as much as I am here. But he put it everywhere, put it all over the metal. And I could conceivably see taking a gun apart. If you're putting it up for storage, long-term storage, you might want to take it all apart. Like pull the cylinder pin out, pull the cylinder the cylinder out of the gun, pull the grips off, you know, take it down as far as you reasonably can and get this stuff in everywhere to prevent rust. The biggest problem is going to be corrosion, right? Now, if you get this stuff all over the place, you cake it on way too heavy, turn it into a big Cosmoline looking mess, and then 10 years later you pull it out, you're not going to go straight to firing it. You got to clean it up. But theoretically, the gun will be in good condition, even if it was stored in a humid environment. And then I guess that would be a good point to say that if you were actually just going to store this, you'd probably want to store it just like this, just slathered in it. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera that this stuff is all over the place, but I think I got it just about everywhere now. Oh, I need to open up the cylinder gate here, the loading gate, rotate that a bit, make sure I get all these cylinders, or all the... You know what, maybe I should pull the... I mean, it's not hard to do here. Let's pull this pin out. And putting it back together is the trick. Taking it apart's easy. And actually, while I'm at it, I can get in here. Get that top strap. So it's supposed to be a rust preventative, and then it also will give it a nice shine once you buff it off. There aren't too many videos of people doing this online. I don't know why. There are a few, don't get me wrong. I'm not the first guy to do this. I'm not the second. There's probably a dozen or more videos I came across with people using this on firearms. And they claim that this is used, I think it even says it on the packaging here. Somewhere I saw it, that they actually use it for preservation and, I don't know, there you go, the Queen. I don't think the Queen is around. They're talking about here anymore, but let's see. By appointment to Her Majesty the Queen, suppliers of products for restoration and conservation. London, England. So I guess somebody in London, England is using this stuff for preserving firearms. I heard one guy saying that this stuff smells like a serious gun preservation. What did he say? I don't think he said museum. I think he said like this is what serious gun guys would use. This is what it smells like when you go into the places that use this stuff. I just think it smells like shoe polish. I got to do this in my house when everybody else is asleep, so that there's time for the fumes to dissipate. Speaking of which, I'm sure it would be recommended to you do this in a well-ventilated area. Probably don't want to just be sitting around inhaling these fumes for long periods of time. Now, I can't say that this is a super ventilated area that I'm in here. I mean, it's decent ventilation, sure, but it's connected to the rest of the house. It's not like I got a breeze blowing through. You could run a patch down here, by the way, and get it down into the cylinders, into each of the chambers, I should say. I don't think I'm going to do that. Although, wait, I think I got a Q-tip handy. And you can run down the barrel, too. Let me see if I have a Q-tip handy here. Okay, here we go. Got a little Q-tip. Gum that up with a whole bunch of this wax. And we'll just run it down each of these chambers. Boy, those are dirty. I'm not sure I cleaned this after I took it to the range last time. That was pretty filthy. I guess this does have some cleaning properties to it as well. When I was cleaning up, when I was waxing the pocket knives that I did as a test, it's not fair to say this, but I was using the other wax. That's why I say it's not fair. But when I'm using that other wax on pocket knives, it cleaned them up pretty nice. So I think the wax does have a fair bit of cleaning properties to it. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And what the heck, we'll jam it down the bore a little bit too. Run it a little bit from that end. Run it a little bit from this end. Spare me the message about running things backwards down the bore. I get it. It's a Q-tip. I'm not going to scratch anything, all right? All right. Get this pin all waxed up too. And then I think that'll do it. Close up this wax and see if some of the smell can dissipate. And then for my purpose, I'm not putting this away for, I'm not going to say I'm putting it away for long-term storage. I'm putting it away to store it. I don't take this gun out very much. It's not all that fun to use. Because you got to reload all the time. I mean, you got this 6 shots, and then you got to reload after pushing each of these cartridges out with your ejector rod manually. It's just kind of a pain. It takes a while. But boy, if you want to conserve ammo, it's great. You know, if you want to take time with your shots and conserve ammo, this is a good gun to use. Good for target practice, I mean. Also great for teaching people, so good for kids. You don't have a hair trigger on a semi-auto that, you know, that can be bump fired. You know, this is a single action. You pull the trigger, it fires. You got a dead trigger until you cock back the hammer again. So I think it's great for kids. Teaching kids. I wouldn't just give this to my kid and say, go have fun. I live in the city. Can't do that. And then, of course, you got to be age appropriate for whatever you're doing if you're teaching your kids, right? Now, I think that's up to the parent. If you wanna teach your kids when they're 3 years old, I don't personally have a problem with that. I think my wife does. I think she wanted them to be older. Let's see. Let's start buffing this off here. Let's see if it does anything for the wood. That's kind of where I had the highest hope for it. This you can give it a bit of a shine. Not a lot, but just a little bit of a shine. Just using a microfiber cloth here. I don't think it has to be microfiber, just use any cloth. I'm sure that'd be fine. I just think the microfiber might might work a little quicker. But that could be my own superstition. That's not necessarily true. Now, this gun has been a major fingerprint magnet, and I'm kind of curious if the wax will kind of prevent some of that. If I just touch that, man, it's still a fingerprint magnet, let's be honest. It does shine it up nice. I'm gonna have to see if I can fast forward you guys through this or something. This is time consuming. This is very time consuming. One concern I have about this is after you do this, if you need to do any sort of refinishing work, like this has got some of the blue worn off of it in various places. If I went in with some cold blue and tried to apply it where there's wax, pretty sure that's not going to take. So you got to figure out how to get this wax off if you're going to try to do any sort of finishing repairs. I don't intend to do that anytime soon, so I'm not particularly worried about it, but you do want to keep that in mind if maybe you have something that you're contemplating refinishing. And there may be a good way to remove this wax completely so that it's easy to work on the finish again, but I don't know what that is. What will remove the wax without damaging the bluing? I haven't figured that out yet. And the wax isn't forever, right? I mean, just handling the gun, you're gonna slowly wear off the wax. And I'm not even sure it lasts that long when you're handling it. I'm sure it does a lot better with the wood. I would imagine it lasts better on wood than it does on the metal. Okay, there we go. Yeah, still a fingerprint magnet. Touch it anywhere and it's touch it anywhere and it gets all streaky and smeary and you can see fingerprints in it. Let's see, clean off this little cylinder pin. Looks like I got a bunch of this wax still on my hand here from handling the gun. Just when I get one end of this thing shined up, I touch the other end and notice that I got a bunch of wax on it again. Let's see how this turns out. Now this isn't a very difficult procedure, as you can see. If you can wax your car, you could probably wax a gun, because it's the same procedure. But I wanted to start with something working on guns that was easy, and I also thought this was something that not a whole lot of people cover. Some people have, like I said, there are some videos out there on it, but not too many. And for those of you out there that have fairly sizable gun collections, particularly ones that have wood stocks on them, this might be a good option for you to use to store your guns away. Get them all polished up and light coat of wax, and then They're nice and slick, and supposedly it's a good rust preventative. Well, I did see a pretty good video on somebody did on the rust prohibitive properties of this. I think he's a knife maker. Let's see if I can put a link to that down below. And I don't think his results weren't great. I think he actually found that for his knives, using 3-in-1 oil was actually the best rust prohibitive of the things he tested. But 3-in-1 oil with wax, I guess, turned out even a little bit better still. So I don't think there was a huge difference between the two. So maybe 3-in-1 oil was the way he was going to go, and just stick with that because it's just easier. He didn't really go into that in the video, but as far as what he was going to ultimately decide to do, but he was pretty happy that his 3-in-1 oil worked on his knives, because I guess as a maker, that's what he was already using. So he got his confirmation that he was looking for. Okay, those look nice and clear now. I don't know if I got in here too well yet. Take this off camera for just a minute while I work on this. It's kind of hard to get to get any leverage to buff off the wax. Now you got to be careful while I'm doing this not to hook my rag on the hand that cycles the cylinder. You don't want to bend it. I mean, it's still a pretty sturdy piece of metal, but you don't want to be hooking a rag across it and then yanking. So I'm trying to be careful here. Need another Q-tip. Need to run something down the bore. I don't think I got a whole lot of wax down the bore anyway, but let's do this anyway. Yeah, it's still a little dirty in there. Not super dirty, but a little bit dirty. Definitely seen worse. 22 sure are dirty to fire though. Take them to the range once and they're filthy. If you got a good one, it'll keep firing, but they definitely get dirty quick. Now here's what I'm talking about. You're supposed to be able to just drop this cylinder in here, close this up so that it won't fall out. And then theoretically you just drop this pin in. Let's see, push the little locking button down. Push the pin in. Oh, look, it doesn't want to go. Okay, fiddle with the position of the cylinder a little bit. Now it's kind of bound up. Pin still doesn't want to go in. Alright, let's open the loading gate. Let's fiddle with that some more. That doesn't feel right. Try it again here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I don't know. I can't figure out exactly what it is, but there's something about that pin that is very temperamental. Yeah, major fingerprint magnet this thing. All right, well, I'm gonna say that it did really good at wood. This wood looked pretty dull to me before, and it doesn't have a, it's not like some mirror finish that it gives it, but there is a little bit of a shine to it that I think is an improvement. And yeah, I don't think I got all the wax off up here, but that's not a huge deal. So anyway, yeah, I think it did pretty good with the wood. As far as putting it on the metal, it makes it slick. So if that's what you're after, it'll do that. Is it a good rust preventative? I'm not exactly sure. Supposedly it is. Supposedly it is. So if you want to give it a try, go ahead. That was Renaissance Wax. They got a small container. They look the same online. If you go out to like Amazon to buy this thing, I think they have like, was it 65 milliliter or something? Anyway, there's this very small container of this stuff that they offer. And then they offer this one that's a bit larger. And the pictures online make them look the same. So if you're not paying attention, you might buy the small one thinking, oh, I found it cheaper. No. You found the smaller container. So just be mindful. If you need the small container, buy the small container, but just know there's a difference there. They do have two sizes. And if you want to try something like this, or just use your whatever automotive wax you prefer, I think you can probably do that. But I'm going to say, if you're gonna, I would highly recommend that you do some testing first. Don't just do what I did here and slather it all over your gun and then wipe it down, because you might find that, I don't know, it takes the bluing off, or there's some acidity to it and it causes your gun to rust after a month. You pull it out and it's all rusty. I don't know, okay? I don't know if that'll happen. I'm just recommending that you test it. Test it, okay? I actually tested Renaissance Wax, which is explicitly made for this. Now, I didn't do a super thorough test because this stuff is, like I said, made for this. But I did do a test. I put it on this little guy, just on the metal. This is a wood laminate, I think. Actually, I don't even know if this is actual wood. I don't know what this is. Maybe it's real wood. Maybe it's plastic. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's all sealed. I don't think there's any reason to treat this. It's probably plastic. Anyway, so I just put it on the metal, just where you can see. I didn't take the grips off and get it down onto the frame everywhere. But you just, pop out the cylinder, get it all around there. I tested it out on this, and it shined it up pretty good. It feels slick now, so that's what I did for a test. I'm not worried about it damaging the finish because it's designed for this purpose. So anyway, that's it. Stay safe out there, guys. Bye.